Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports unboxing today. Now I know what this is. This is the next iteration of the PARD DS-35. Now this is the DS-35 50. If you look carefully here, we have the DS-35 70. Now I've been using that on a centerfire rifle for the last month or so. I'm very pleased with it. If you look on my channel, you'll see a massive amount of footage reviewed on it, shown on it, and a full review video explaining most of the technical details and features of it. And also, most importantly, the sort of physical interaction it allows you, which frankly is quite a game changer, because it's got a circular image display inside the actual display screen, and it's also got 100mm of eye relief with a more forgiving eye box. It is so much more similar to a regular daytime rifle scope. It's virtually impossible to describe just how groundbreaking it is. If you do go to the British Shooting Show this year, go along to Sportsman Gun Centre stand, have a look at them and just see how easy they are to look through. I'm not even going to be that careful with the wrapping on this, because I'm so keen to see what it's like. Now the main difference between the DS-35 70 and the DS-35 50 is the optical magnification. Now on the 35-70, the optical magnification is 5.6 times, and you've got 2 times digital zoom, so it goes up to 11.2 times magnification. You'll see that in all the footage. There's this one. Let's just make sure there's no labels here. Just move that quickly out of the way. I'll just store those for later usage. Right, there we are. This is the DS-35 50. So this has got 4 times optical magnification, which then with the 2 times digital magnification will offer you 8 times. Now the big advantage of that, and everybody goes, oh, you know, everybody thinks that big numbers sell. Well, not always actually, because smaller magnification, you know, from the focal length of the lens itself, which in this case is 50mm and not 70mm, smaller magnification often gives you, and regularly gives you, larger field of view. And at close range, well, that's absolutely critical factor, because, you know, if you're wanting to use one of these for ratting with air guns or rim fires, you may well want to defer towards field of view rather than overall magnification. And I suspect overall I might actually prefer this as an overall unit to the 70. But the plan is, the 70 is on a centerfire. I'm going to put this one on an air gun because I want to take it ratting. Now, if you want to look at some of the features just briefly, in the box we've got a large neoprene sleeve which goes over the top, and it's got a big hump on the back to go over the illuminator and the laser at the front, which is part of the laser range-finding capability. In the box we've got a rubber bellows eye cup. Now you can use this if you want, and you don't have to if you don't want to, because in daylight, when you're behind this at 100mm of eye relief, it's very similar to a conventional rifle scope. To the how should we say this? To someone who hasn't used a lot of night vision rifle scopes, they were actually quite surprised. They couldn't see what was so different about it, and it's because it was so similar to their normal daytime rifle scopes. So you can use it with the bellows on or off. The recoil rating on this is actually 6,000 joules, which is something like 4,500 foot-pounds. You are not going to have a problem shooting it either, because of course you're not going to have any problems with actual impact on your eyebrow, because it's got that 100mm of eye relief. In this box we've probably got a set of 30mm scope rings, and let's just see what else is in this little box here. They do make these things a little bit tricky to open, and unfortunately that also means that they're going to be a little bit tricky to repack. So we've got 30mm scope rings that will go on a Weaver or Picatinny rail, and I suspect in here there will be a USB-C charging cable. There's a lens cleaning cloth there, USB-C charging cable, that comes out there, and we've got 2 little Allen keys which will of course help us do setting up, etc. I will just store those carefully there and reassemble those when I've got a bit more chance. Pop those in there, pop those in there. This is the joy with unboxing videos, because certainly, you know, to make it real, you know, sometimes the box gets damaged. Right, looking at the features of this, we have got, you see there's a flip open eye cup there, eye cap or lens cap there, but it also has an aperture, and you can change the size of the aperture with this little lever here. And of course, a closer, smaller aperture gives you greater depth of field, so in daylight usage that's even more beneficial. But in full nighttime mode you can flick that open. Now in honesty, I've actually used the DS-35 with that shut in the dark, and I hadn't actually found it made my capability any weaker. Obviously when I realised and flicked it open, yes, the image quality got better, but it hadn't actually stopped me doing any shooting, and I hadn't immediately noticed it, which gives you a clue as to how sensitive these things are now in terms of the nighttime capability. Well, let's just pop that shut for the minute and just close it back down. On top, well, I'll just take that little foam plug out of there. This is the focusing lever on the side, so that's got you sort of focus on the target itself, a bit like an adjustable parallax scope and adjustable objective lens. The back end focuses for the screen inside on the eyepiece here, and you've got a twist out lens there which will give you diopter control for the actual natural difference in people's eyesight. Put that down there. On top we've got the illuminator, and we've also got the laser rangefinder. This is a laser rangefinder which you can run in meters or yards, and basically one press on this button at the back here flicks out the laser and it will generate a ballistic aim over solution. You can store 5 zeroing profiles, 5 ballistic solutions, you can change reticle colours, etc, etc, etc. Most of that is listed actually on the websites for these, but I like to concentrate on the actual personal interaction with them. I'll pop this off. Oh, there's no battery in it, so I'll have to have a look to see if we've got a battery somewhere, but I'm not sure if there was one in the box. Let me just have another little look in the box. Interestingly, there isn't a battery in here, which I thought there might be. These use 18650 flat top batteries. Essentially, because these use 18650 flat top batteries on the side, you can swap those over very quickly for when you reach the end of your runtime. But runtime on these is actually pretty good, and it will massively always be dependent on how much of the onboard illuminator you're using. Left side here, that looks like a turret. It's not actually a turret, it's just a dummy function there. The on button's on the left side here. About a 3-second hold will switch it on, and another 3-second hold will switch it off. Brief presses like that will turn the display screen on or off to stop it, wasting energy and flicking light out onto your face or whatever. Now, the controls are all done with this dial on top. So, zooming in from 4 to 8 times, you literally clockwise goes from 4 to 8, clockwise again goes from 8 back to 4, clockwise again goes from 4 to 8. You're getting the pattern now. So that goes clockwise for zooming in or zooming out, but it means that you're never really thinking about anything. That also controls all the menu functions, and it presses down on top as the actual actuator press. Once you're in the menus, you can scroll backwards and forwards for daylight zeroing, nighttime zeroing, all the kind of functionality of it. It's all covered in the main review video I did on the 70. Briefly, the 3 control buttons on the top here. The front left one there changes on a long hold between day and nighttime settings, and it also changes between the illuminator intensity, so 1, 2, 3 power on the illuminator. That's an 850 nanometer illuminator, runs off the internal battery, gives you about a 150 meter range in the real world, but depends on the size of the quarry you're shooting. I think for ratting and things like that, I don't think this is going to be a problem at all to use this illuminator. I have used bigger illuminators for foxing, but that's because I'm obviously viewing foxes at far greater distance, and especially hares too. I've actually been watching hares at over 400 meters away. I don't shoot them that far, but I do want to see things as far away as I can. Front right button here controls the stills or the video capability, and the rear button here turns the rangefinder on or off. You can leave it on scan mode or do individual pings, and that will also generate the secondary reticle underneath the main aim point reticle, which tells you where to aim over for the distance it's displaying. On the side here we've got USB-C charging port for charging up the battery, and there's also a slot there for a micro SD card to hold all your still and video footage. There is actually a screen out function there, but I've never used it and I probably never will. I think it's one of those things that's kind of perhaps just carries over from the past if you want to use it for an immediately out display, but I don't, but it is there if you need it. Essentially, it's a 30mm aluminium tube. It mounts very easily, 100mm of eye relief, and when you put this on a rifle, it looks and fits so similarly to a normal rifle scope. I mean, this is the DS-35 70 on here, and if I take that off, that's where it fits compared to my normal rifle scope, and this will be exactly the same. That's there with my 100mm of eye relief. So I've got no problem with actual physical recoil between the rifle, the scope and the shooter, as opposed to just the ability for the rifle scope itself to withstand the G-forces involved. I'll just pop that rubber cap back on there before I drop it. That just screws in. What else can we cover? Well, I'm going to be putting this on an air rifle because I want to take it rat shooting. I'm not going to use any other illuminators. I'm just going to charge up a battery, run it exactly how it is, and put it, probably going to put it on the FX Impact M3, which I've got one of those in FAC format. Might run it down a little bit lower actually, because I am going to close in the ranges, because I know how well that works at longer distances for foxing, so I specifically want to know how this one's going to work at shorter distances for ratting, which of course might be as little as, you know, 2, 3, 5 meters, as opposed to 150, 200, 250 meters on a foxing setup. So that is key to what the DS-35 is for. That's not to say it won't do what that does, but I think overall this one might actually please me as an overall. I think it's going to be a 60-40 in the fact that for all my shooting overall, I might go with that one. If you're only a foxer, that one. If you're only a rabbit shooting, probably only that one. But if you do want to go rat shooting on an airgun specifically, or maybe rimfire for short range rabbit shooting, I think that's going to be the definite benefit. And as I say, it's not going to stop you shooting foxes at 200 meters either. But we're going to try this out, we're going to test it in the field, and as soon as I've got batteries in it, I'm going to sit them side by side, look through them, and just look at that difference in the actual field of view, which of course is critical. Right, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell so you can keep track of my weekly uploads. I am getting gear all the time these days. If you work all the way through to the end of the video, there's an icon to click on. It takes you to the British Shooting Show. If you are coming to the British Shooting Show, click on that, buy your tickets. Tickets this year also include your car parking fee. I hope to see you there. I'll probably be around the Sportsman Gun Centre stand, and please go on to Sportsman Gun Centre stand and have a look at one of these, which will hopefully be mounted on a rifle stock, and it will allow you to see just how easily accessible that image is in the eye box compared to any other night vision scope, or how relatively similar it is to a day scope. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.